Okay, fresh battery in that camera. Freed up some space on this SD card. And the one I'm using for audio. And I have another email here that I'm going to share with all you guys. It's from Florida again. Surprising, eh? Florida sure is a lot of activity. Alright, listen to this. Steve, I pray this email finds you well. My name is Frank, and I just cannot possibly thank you enough for giving folks like me a place to open up about what we have seen and experienced, and how, in a lot of cases, has altered how we live. Thank you for those kind words, and believe me, it's not a hard thing to do, man. A month or so back, you read an email I sent in about an experience I had on my hunting property northern Florida. In the beginning of that email, I said I was 7 feet from one that was distracted to another occasion. I'd like to explain how that happened. To be honest, this is the most I've ever said about this encounter until today. If it was not for you and your channel, this encounter would have gone to the grave with me. I lived in a very rural part of west central Florida. Most folks think Florida is all beaches, but on the west coast, from Pasco County through to the Big Bend area, no beaches, just swamps and rivers that run through swamps. Lots of springs of wildlife. I had an area I was allowed to hunt feral pigs and pass through to get to the inshore fishing areas where the fishing is incredible. The area is fairly large, not by BC standards, but for rural Florida. 8 to 10 miles north and south, 3 to 5 miles from the road that runs north and south to the Gulf of Mexico. There's a large spring out there with lots of vents, creating several nice watering holes. Back in the late 50s to the early 60s, mosquito control would dig small canals and drains back in these spring areas to drain off water that would pond and help control the biting little bastards. They also created berms through the swamp that I used to navigate through. These berms are always close to the vents, so all the game used them as well to get to watering holes. In the spring and early summer, I would go through and cut the limbs back and keep a clear path so I could walk through in the dark very quietly. At each watering hole there was reeds, and in some cases cattails even grew. The hogs would feed all night, then go to the watering holes in the early morning and drink just as the sun was coming up, then bed down in the heat of the day. If the wind was blowing from the west and the ground was slightly damp, which in October it always is, you could use the reeds and the west wind to your advantage and pick up some pork chops on your way out to catch some redfish. Redneck surf and turf, smoked redfish, and fresh pork shoulder, Central Florida style, hell yeah. I'm sure you've heard it before hunting in Alabama, but when a hog drinks, it does not drink like a dog with his tongue. It puts its snout in the water and sucks the water in with a slurping sound. This particular morning, I was approaching the far west watering hole. This hole is too brackish to drink out of unless the tide is out, and it was. The sun was not up yet, but it was getting a little light out. I was able to slip up the east side of those reeds silently with the wind in my face. I could hear this hog sucking up the water, and I was absolutely on top of him. He had no idea I was there. I had a stainless Smith & Wesson 41 mag, and I was getting ready to ring his bell. I slipped around the south side of the reeds without making a sound, looked north at the watering hole, gun drawn, and saw it was a dude. It was dark behind the reeds, but you could clearly make out the guy was huge. He had his face right there in the spring water. His hands were on the ground in front of the hole, and his feet were down in the water. At that point, I was not able to make out this huge dude was covered by short black hair. I dropped the gun down to my side. When I did, this thing rotated his body and looked left. He did not hardly turn his head, but he rotated left and lifted his body right up with his arms. And his arms were long, and I could see that they had hair all over them. He was so big that even in the crouched position, his head was not much below mine. And I got a fairly clear look at the left side of his face. The hair on his head was not that long, maybe an inch and a half. His left ear was like a human ear, just with very short hair. His nose was flatter, and his mouth was gaping open a bit, with upper and lower canines that were all fairly small for the size. I did not have time or enough daylight to get any more exact details. Water was still dripping off his face, and we were staring at each other for about 2 seconds. I'm not sure how he did it, but this dude sprang out of the hole and flew about 7 feet to the south, landed on the other side of the berm, and took off running on all fours for about 30 or so feet. then in smooth motion came up on 2 feet and ran out of my sight south into the thick swamp. All that happened in about 5 or 6 seconds. He was gone. I was shaking. I could not move for some time. I'm not exactly how long, but it was a minute or two. I ran west as hard as I could. I thought if I had to fight this thing, I wanted to do it in open ground, not in the swamp. The rest of the details of the day are not really that important. There's no way I was walking back to my truck with that swamp. I ended up hiking to the Gulf and flagged down a net boat that gave me a ride to the little fishing town to the north. I hitched a ride to my truck. I went through that swamp 3 to 4 times a month for a few years before this happened, but I'd not go back in there after that. People may think I'm crazy, but I still think about experience daily. It scared me to the point I cannot remember a lot of the day after that what happened. I just want to say this. I've heard you read a few emails lately about shooting these things and others talking about how human they are. I can tell you this. This guy was a dude of some sort. If he was shot because we have not figured out what they are, it would be murder in my opinion. He could have killed me too quick to talk about. That is not where his head was. He was hunting and gathering just like me and just wanted to be left alone. Thank you, Steve. God bless you and all you do. All right, Frank. Thanks for that email of your experience. And obviously, it's a very similar experience to many that have been emailed in previously. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. And one thing that I will agree with you, that thing you saw you referred to as a dude, I will completely agree with you. It was a dude. Now, for a lot of you people who seem to be confused and not sure what the hell's going on out there, for me, in my mind, right this moment, I can, with confidence, share with all of you that these beings are a people, period, and nothing less. If you are watching this video and you are caught up with a handful of people that think you're going out and finding migration routes and nests and mating sites, you have missed the knowledge information boat. You've completely missed it. Sadly, I'm going to be the one to inform you that you've missed the boat. Again, the DNA has been obtained over 100 times by very credible people, and the DNA is original human female, unknown male, and that's a fact, and there's nothing I can do or you can do to change that. That's a fact, all right? Another sad fact that accompanies that fact is the often knowingly misinforming so-called scientific community will not allow these people to be acknowledged publicly. It's not going to happen. And do we need the scientific community? No, we don't. My channel has proved that. All right? There are many, many very intelligent people out there watching my videos, watching this channel, who are very intelligent and do not need to be held by the hand and led around with what they believe or see in this lifetime. Fact is, the scientific community is a fraudulent bunch of people on average who do not have your better interests. All right? Unfortunately. Somebody's got to say it. But again, the Sasquatch beings are a type of people. It's been proven very easily. It may be surprising to many of you. I would bet the farm on that fact for me. If you will take my word as anything, it's up to you. But I strongly urge all of you to look at all of the experiences being shared with you and all of the knowledge being shared with you honestly, and take from it what you need to take from it to help you become aware and become full of honest knowledge. There are many things going on in these beings that we do not understand yet, that we just can't wrap our heads around. They have skills, talents that we do not have, and we just cannot fathom or understand, but it's true, okay? What else will I add with confidence right now? Do I believe that these beings are responsible for the numerous human beings going missing in national parks? No, I don't. I do not believe they are responsible for it. There's been too much information shared. Too many eyewitnesses have seen, when you get onto that topic of the missing people, there is much going on in that department. that 100% points to something else that's responsible for human beings going missing around the world. And that's a whole different topic. I'm not ready to crack that up myself. There are other people that are covering that, and I'm quite certain that information will be shared openly fairly soon. I hope it is. It's not my position to share with you what people have told me in confidence. All right? A lot of people, you get angry at me for that, but what am I supposed to do? What if you were to contact me and you want to share something with me and you don't want me to share it publicly, and I do anyways? Think about what that's going to do for the credibility of me. Honestly, being honest, straight up, and having each other's back at all cost is the theme here. It can't be broken. But many people want my opinions on what's going on, and I can say to you with confidence, I do not think that these Sasquatch people are responsible for the numerous people going missing in North America today. I am 99.999% confident they are not responsible. Okay? I do believe that there has been some violence between human beings and these beings, and I do believe that that violence was probably on average provoked by humans. And there is information, solid information from vetted people that I've spoken with who can confirm that these beings are actively being pursued by groups of individuals, human beings who are killing them. All right? So knowing that, it's not too hard to wonder why these beings throw sticks and rocks at us and try to intimidate us to get the hell out of there as well at the same time, and putting distance between themselves and us. Okay? There's an obvious reason for that. And that's about all I have to share on that note right now. And let's keep this information ball rolling. I am learning a lot, basically almost daily, probably more weekly, but I am learning a lot. My knowledge base has increased substantially since the beginning of these conversations we've all been having with each other. But if I could give you any reassurance when it comes to these beings, particularly, is again, I'm going to stress it, tell you, I'll probably sound like a broken record, but when you are witnessing or experiencing any of these alarming factors, rocks, sticks, shrieks, yells, roars, being terrified, not knowing why, just go with it. Go with it and react responsibly. Don't go pulling out a gun and shooting that shit. Just look at the ground, pack up your shit, your family, your belongings, and intentionally march your ass away and get to where it's safe. And whoever wants you to leave feels safe, and start again another day. And that's what I do. All right? Be safe out there, you guys.